TV shows of all time that everyone should see at least once. There's never been a creative boom for TV like the one we are living through right now.
But in a group all hungry, man, you watch your ass.
Ever since The Sopranos changed the game at the turn of the century, we've been in a gold rush that gives no signs of slowing down. What better moment to look back and celebrate the greatest TV series in the history of the art form. Welcome to DLP Movie, and let's count down our list of top 10 best TV shows of all time that everyone should see at least once. The X-Files. The series revolves around FBI special agents Fox Mulder and Dennis Scully who investigate X-Files, marginalized, unsolved cases involving paranormal phenomena. Mulder believes in the existence of aliens and the paranormal while Scully, a medical doctor and a skeptic, is assigned to make scientific analyses of Mulder's discoveries, to debunk his work and thus return him to mainstream cases. Early in the series, both agents become pawns in a larger conflict and come to trust only each other in the very few select people. They develop a close relationship which begins as a platonic friendship, but becomes a romance by the end of the series. The X-Files originally premiered in September 1993. Over the course of its 9-season run, the influential series went from breakout sci-fi favorite to massive global hit, and became one of the most successful television dramas of all time.
I can't tell you what killed this man. I'm not sure anybody else could claim to either.
These men have been secretly...
The Big Bang Theory. The show is primarily centered on 5 characters living in Pasadena, California: Leonard Hofstadter and Sheldon Cooper, both physicists at Caltech, who share an apartment. Penny, a waitress and aspiring actress who later becomes a pharmaceutical representative, and who lives across the hall. And Leonard and Sheldon, similarly geeky and socially awkward friends and co-workers, aerospace engineer Howard Wolowitz and astrophysicist Raj Koothrappali.
Amy, I didn't want it to come to this, but you have left me no choice but to employ the most passionate, seductive dance known to man. The flamenco.
The geekiness and intellect of the 4 guys is contrasted for comic effect with Penny's social skills and common sense. Here is the many ways in which this show excels. The geeks are lovable and funny and human, not pathetic. You feel for them. The neighbor girl is a very sweet girl, and for once the characters are educated and thoughtful, not the usual dumb people we see on TV. The dynamics and the dialogue between the 4 friends is fast-paced, funny and rich with detailed observations. The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone is an American television anthology series created by Rod Serling. The episodes are in various genres, including psychological horror, fantasy, science fiction, suspense, and psychological thriller, and often conclude with a macabre or unexpected twist, and usually with a moral. A popular and critical success, it introduced many Americans to common science fiction and fantasy tropes. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone. Rod Serling's sci-fi anthology series is the opposite of a period piece. It can still blow your mind today, with Serling's gritty staccato introductions and a host of supernatural scenarios. The best Twilight Zone episodes looked for freedom in the everyday, space invaders posing as hot-rod greasers, suburban neighborhoods turning into hysterical mobs, grotesque death masks, talking dolls. Countless vignettes remain classics, from William Shatner staring out the airplane window and seeing a gremlin on the wing to Richard Keel as the gigantic, smiling alien who arrives with the solutions to all Earth's problems, simply because he wants to serve man. MASH. The 4077th Mobile Army Surgical Hospital is stuck in the middle of the Korean War. With little help from the circumstances they find themselves in, they're forced to make their own fun. Fond of practical jokes and revenge, the doctors, nurses, administrators, and soldiers often find ways of making wartime life bearable. Nevertheless, the war goes on. One of the reasons SMASH is so funny is that it's so desperate.
That. You like it?
Form an opinion either way would be to imply that I cared.
You don't know what this is, don't you read the comics?
No, they're just a blur on the way to the financial page.
Well, this is the latest denizen of Dogpatch.
It is set in a surgical hospital just behind the front lines in Korea, and it is drenched in blood. The surgeons work rapidly and with a gory detachment, sawing off legs and tying up arteries, and making their work possible by pretending they don't care. And when they are at last out of the operating tent, they devote their lives to remaining sane. Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld stars in this television comedy series as himself, a comedian. The premise of this sitcom is Jerry and his friends going through everyday life, discussing various quirky situations that we can all relate to. The eccentric personalities of the offbeat characters who make up Jerry's social circle contribute to the fun.
Okay, let's see here.
66 years old?
Yeah, well, he's in perfect health. He works out. He's vibrant. You'd really like him.
Why do people always say that? I hate everybody. Why would I like him?
The show about nothing is a lot of things to a lot of people, and one of those things is an amazingly funny observation on how weird people can be. Seinfeld notably took seemingly benign subject matter, such as a soup kitchen cook or a ruffled shirt, and turned them into pop culture icons. The central foursome was pitch perfect throughout the show's run, which Jerry Seinfeld decided to end before the show went past its prime. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Friends. All 10 seasons of Friends ranked within the top 10 of the final television season ratings, ultimately reaching the number 1 spot with its 8th season. The series finale on May 6, 2004, was watched by around 52.5 million American viewers, making it the 5th most watched series finale in television history and the most watched television episode of the 2000s decade. So no one told you life was gonna be this way, or that the world was going to remain so firmly attached to 6 New York City bodies years after the hit series left the airwaves. Friends was one of the main reasons that NBC was known for comedy throughout the 1990s, and the show rocketed its ensemble cast to stardom, for better or worse. In some cases,
Explain this.
Thank you.
Joey's a sex addict.
What? No, I'm not.
It's okay. It's good. It's good. It's a disease.
the show was able to mix silliness with seriousness at times, and the palette of characters gave almost everyone someone to relate to, even if it was ugly naked guy. Star Trek.
You might think about recommending seatbelts when we get home.
The brash
just a
James
little
T. Kirk
bad.
tries to live up to his father's legacy with Commander Spock keeping him in check as a vengeful, time-traveling Romulan creates black holes to destroy the Federation one planet at a time. The Starship Enterprise took off with a 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, and it succeeded in creating the most beloved of sci-fi franchises. Not just inspiring countless spin-offs but also codifying fan fiction as an art form. Breaking Bad. It's hard to count the number of things that Vince Gilligan's Breaking Bad did successfully, but turning Bryan Cranston from sitcom star to dramatic anti-hero was definitely one of the biggest. A series that never lost its black humor while laying out one dismally dark turn of events after another. Breaking Bad will probably remain one of TV's best series for decades to come, and will hopefully serve as a warning for any high school teachers who want to enter the meth game. Bryan Cranston, previously the dentist on Seinfeld and the lovable dad from Malcolm in the Middle, became a villain for the ages in Vince Gilligan's AMC noir. Walter White, a bitter high school chemistry teacher, gets terminal lung cancer and decides to provide for his kids by turning into New Mexico's premier crystal meth chef. Unfortunately for his family, his victims and practically everyone he meets, he loves his new secret life as a killer drug lord
No matter
Heisenberg.
how it may look, I only had you in my heart. Goodbye.
Game of Thrones. While The Sopranos made HBO a heavy contender in the drama race, Game of Thrones has turned the network into a ratings monster. Based on the massively successful novel series from author George R.R. Martin, Game of Thrones enraptures viewers. with a huge cast of characters, a ton of conflicts and violence, a smattering of sex and a winning mixture of fantasy and regal politics. And the constant surprise deaths haven't heard, a magnificent and spellbinding show that is always intriguing. The atmosphere and tension it manages to create throughout each episode is superb. Fascinating characters, epic music, gorgeous cinematography, stunning action, great story and character developments. Yeah, basically everything about Game of Thrones is excellent. The Simpsons. The Simpsons has been making people laugh and making other people debate when the show's golden age ended for decades, and it's on the way to season 27 with all of its cast intact, even though it looked like Harry Shearer was going to back out over money issues earlier this year. No one could have predicted this Tracy Ullman show spin-off would have lasted for more than 570 episodes, but this dysfunctional family has definitely earned its place on this list. The Simpsons is an American animated sitcom created by Matt Groening for the Fox Broadcasting Company. The series is a satirical depiction of working-class life epitomized by the Simpson family, which consists of Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, and Maggie. The show is set in the fictional town of Springfield and parodies American culture, society, television, and the human condition. Since 1989, Homer and his family have given us valuable words of wisdom. Let that be a lesson to you, sweetie.
Boy, get out of that cage!
But it's my home now, sir.
I'll poke a broom in there. You know I'm capable of it.
Never love anything, or no matter how good you are, there's always a million people better is Homer's way of thinking. Fox has renewed the show through 2017, making it the longest-running primetime comedy series, as well as the longest-running primetime animated series in US TV history. What is your favorite TV show from the list? Let us know below and do not forget to subscribe.